All right, welcome back to the internet. We are looking at the best reporting options for HighLevel. And I know what you're thinking. HighLevel has reporting. Why would you ever use an outside tool to get reporting in HighLevel? Well, I really hope that you're joking about this question because obviously HighLevel doesn't go deep with their features, okay? It's just like their chatbot and their voice bot and basically everything that has to do with the platform. They go very wide and also very shallow, so their reporting basically it just sucks. So we're going to be looking at the top 8 versions or the top 8 apps at the moment that plug directly into HighLevel and can help you with your marketing attribution or sales analytics or anything you really need. So let's get into it. Before we get started, if you are a marketing agency with at least like 5 clients, probably more like 10, 15, 20 plus, this video will help you. And if you're a business that has like 5, 10 sales reps, or maybe even like 2 or 3 sales reps, this should help you. But if you're a single person, not single, relationship wise, but just you're just cold calling out of your CRM, this probably isn't really going to help you that much. I would just get back to dialing, and yeah, you probably don't need in-depth analytics while you're getting 5 leads a day. All right, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, I only have the highest value viewers at this point. So let's get into it. With Hyros, this is our first kind of option, and this is a bit of a stretch saying it directly plugs into HighLevel. Now, I think they say they integrate with HighLevel. I couldn't find it. But there is certainly a way people use Hyros with HighLevel, so you can definitely do it. And what you get is basically in-depth analytics into the actual ads that you're spending and then calls and stuff that are attributed to it and sales. So if you go to the features, you can see they have a bit of a breakdown of the industries that they serve. So e-com, SaaS, call tracking, lead generation. And this is great. Now, I'm going to start over the course of this video, I'm going to start building a case for why none of these are really that helpful, at least in my opinion, but I believe you'll agree. So they have a section on agencies. Like I said, if you're a marketing agency, they explain how this can help you because you can see all your clients reporting in one place. That's fantastic, honestly. Then I heard about another one today called RedTrack. Now this is pretty similar to Hyros as I understand, and it pretty much does the same thing. It shows you analytics and it has some, integrations, and it's pretty similar to Hyros. You can view your ad analytics. Nothing wrong with that, but again, I think a little lacking. Now, we get into Octify, which I'm going to completely skip over. I mean, it's basically the exact same thing. Pretty landing page. I'll give them that. But I'm bored already. So let's move off that. Now, here's one that's really interesting that's called Isla. So I actually, I've never tried Isla, but let's look at their demo video.
Hi, my name is.
And basically what they show is that you have a dashboard with all the phone calls that have been completed in the CRM. And this plugs directly into HighLevel, okay? So if we go through this, we can see, some details about the phone call, the summary, rapport building. We can listen to that call, and we can see the client details. And they also have a cool feature where it updates the CRM with custom values taken from the phone call. Now, this one's interesting. It integrates straight in with Lead Connector. They say Salesforce here, maybe that one. Maybe they do a variety of CRMs. But the thing I see as kind of being an issue with Isla is that it really only analyzes the phone calls. And so, I mean, that's great. Obviously, phone calls are a huge part of the sales process, but there's stuff in between. And especially if you're a local service business or you're an agency serving local service businesses, there's a lot of stuff that happens over text and in person. And if you're not tracking that, it's really hard to know how the conversation is actually going. And this is really, as I understand, this is a sales training platform. So you can save your calls, your favorite calls, so that you can reference them later and show them to your trainees. And it's nice for that, but I really think it's less of an analytics solution and more of kind of a training solution. So there you go. That's Isla. Then we have Conduit. Now, Conduit is actually pretty sick. I mean, look at this. They have Coca-Cola, Hulu, and Canva logos on their homepage. I mean, how much better does it get? Let's be honest, 200,000 professionals use Conduit. Um, and the cool thing about this is it's very much like, Hyros and that other one, Red something or other, RedTrack. But what it does is it's pretty brilliant. Is it uses AI to generate your metrics. So I think we can find a demo here.
Agencies using Go HighLevel,
Okay.
whether you're managing multi-tenant or multi-location.
And it just says Go HighLevel. So maybe it is specific to HighLevel. Maybe all these are lies because this is not accurate
accounts.
in any way.
We offer integrations with hundreds of applications. You can connect all your Go HighLevel accounts as well as other platforms you use, like Facebook ads, Google ads, and Google Analytics. For each client, you can...
This is very strange because I was under the impression people at Coca-Cola, Canva, and Hulu were using it, but apparently it's built specifically for HighLevel. And look, I'm not a betting man, let's be honest. If I was a betting man, I would say they don't use HighLevel. Coca-Cola is not using Go HighLevel as their primary CRM. So regardless, what it does is it basically uses AI to craft metrics for you. So you say, I want to know, what my speed to lead was, and it'll go, okay, here's the query that we need to run, and then it'll give you that metric. So it's very brilliant. I do like the approach with that, but at the end of the day, it's just basic reporting, and you don't actually get a lot of insights. Now, I'm going to skip through these pretty quickly. Consolidata is very much the same. They have a little bit more features, like appointments and stuff, and it's great. Nabble is very similar to Isla. It kind of looks at phone calls and allows you to analyze them and get training. Although there's very few screenshots, and the screenshots that I do see, they're quite ugly. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if this is your company, but dude, it's not a good look. So now let's get into why I'm not really a fan of these solutions, and I'll tell you why. Here, we'll go into the 8th solution here, the 8th product that does something like this, and I'm just going to show you how this is a little bit different. So the main thing is, and if I... Okay, so what we have here is we have grades for every single contact in terms of their quality as a lead, and then we also have a grade for the performance in terms of sales. So how good of a job is the rep doing at actually selling that contact their service. And this is the thing that I really don't think you get with any of these solutions. In fact, I say think, I know you don't get with any of these solutions. Even Hyros, the one that people say, oh, Hyros is so sick, it's so expensive, you gotta be a baller like fucking Tony Robbins to use it. Here's the issue with Hyros is, and all of these solutions, in fact, well, some of these are a little bit different, but let me explain, is you get everything front of funnel, or at the beginning of funnel, or marketing basically. So you get, attribution with this, you get cost per lead, you get all this valuable stuff, no doubt. So you can see exactly like how much, where leads are coming from. And then you also get conversion information. So we can see, in all of these softwares, I'm just showing here, you can see like what opportunities closed, how much they closed for, what your total revenue was, total ROAS, and all of that is terrific, fantastic. I love it. And the funny thing is, HighLevel does this already. If you want to have, if you want to know what your cost per lead is and what your net ROAS is, you can do that pretty easily. It's not rocket science. But here's the thing, okay? There's a lot that happens in between those two steps, all right? You get the lead, and then at some point they're closed. But that space in between is where the actual rubber hits the road. I mean, let's be honest here, all right? There's a lot of sales, there's a lot of, nurture that goes into converting a lead, and especially when you're dealing with clients who aren't perfect or sales reps who aren't perfect, you need to be able to know, what's their speed to lead? How many of these contacts are they actually calling? What do their conversations look like? And so that's why you need something that can analyze the entire conversation of the contact and then grade the sales performance and also grade the contact. So then when you go to look at all of your reps or all of your clients, you can see exactly what the quality of their leads are and what the quality of their sales efforts are. And then you can just stay on top of them so much easier. So that is my long rant on why these basically suck and mine is the best. Yeah, hopefully it's not a spoiler, but I'm a little bit biased here because I built this solution. So if we go back to Hyros, again, nothing middle of funnel because you have to integrate with a CRM. There's a lot of kind of complexity that goes on with the stuff in the middle there. Same thing with RedTrack, Octify. Now, Isla does do the call analytics, but nothing else. So you kind of need Isla plus Hyros, and then you can't really track how those two things work together. Conduit, very much, front and back of funnel. And then same thing with Consolidata, and Nabble again has the same problem as Isla. So I really, honestly, I would love to come out here and just be super honest and candid and not be biased at all. I think I am being honest and candid, but I'm not being biased either. At least I don't think. I think these solutions, however fantastic they are, I think they have a massive problem, which is that you can't see the middle of funnel, which is probably what most people actually want to see. Speed to lead, average call duration, how many calls are being made by my reps. If we go over to the analytics again, we can go to the phone calls, and by user, we can actually see what the actual, like how many calls are actually being made. And so if we look at this one, it's not a lot, right? But you could actually see how many calls are being made. And so that's basically the value proposition here, I guess. And I also want to say one more thing, which is that, all right, close data. Here's the problem with most of these marketing kind of attribution systems for agencies and for businesses operating in HighLevel is that in order to know how much a client converted for, you have to go through the manual process of either creating a contact or going in, updating the contact, changing the value, changing their status to 1, and then making sure that when you press save, it doesn't fire some automation that you forgot about that's going to like send them a random text. And so there's kind of a lot of friction when it comes to marking contacts as 1 and getting an accurate value. And that's why we actually have a system that can go through and it can, determine contact value. So it can estimate the value of the contact and then decide whether or not they've been marked as 1 yet. So if the user leaves a note like, hey, we had an in-person consultation and I booked them for a job, they put a deposit down, we can mark them as 1. We can mark them as 1 if they had a phone call and they put a deposit over the phone. We can mark them as 1 in many scenarios, and that means your reporting is actually going to be so much more accurate than just relying on your reps or your clients to mark leads as 1. So, I think I'm done with my rant for now. Hopefully, you enjoyed. And if you're not aware, there's a link down below where you can get more completely unbiased analysis of why my app is the absolute best. If you just go to streamline.so, again, the link is right down below, and you'll kind of see an overview of how this is solved. At the moment, it's really targeted on agencies, but in the future, it may shift over to being more focused on SMBs as well as agencies. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and catch you in the next one.